Hello everyone. We have some Skull and Bones shenanigans for you today, and of course I am your host, Phoenix61. Make sure you guys are following the channel. Really do appreciate that. We always have more Skull and Bones content in the works. So I wanted to call out this week, there is, I'm going to go into the menu and show the calendar here. There is the Blighted Bastion mission where it's like, I think that's maybe the harder version of the Pest, but the one I want to call out is this From the Abyss, the Elite Warship. This is the sort of more unique variant on the Ghost ship fight. So we'll go to the map view. He usually spawns up here towards the top right, and we can see that the mission's available. I think it only shows up, I think it's there, but it only actually spawns when it's dark. So you do have to wait till it's starting to get dark before you'll actually see the ship show up. And this is, the kind of the reason I'm calling this out. I would say this is probably one of the more, rare things in the game that has shown up, right? All the sea monsters and bosses and stuff seem to cycle in and out quite a bit. This one I would say I feel like I see this one the least, right? So that's kind of why I wanted to highlight this and call this out for this week. He does have some unique drops as well, and as you can see, I was fighting him earlier and there's just a whole bunch of stuff in the water still, even from the last time I fought him. Right, there's a mysterious chest that I missed picking up, and then he drops the ethereal ashes as well. So I'll go ahead and show where you can spend those and what you can get with that all that kind of fun stuff as well. But for the beginning here, we'll focus on the fight a little bit. It's similar to the other Ghost ship, right? You need to focus fire on the critical hit points. In particular, for this guy, it's the flaming skulls towards the front of the ship. He does have a barrel that spawns on the back of him occasionally here and there, and you can focus fire on that and get some critical hit damage there as well. And then yes, typically as you get rid of those critical, those skull flamey thingies in the front, sometimes you can do just damage in general just from shooting him as well. And then yeah, there's the barrel on the back that just showed up, and then yeah, there's a spot right in the middle there if you can hit it, right? So I'll go through my build as well a little bit later in the video here too, but you can see I'm using the new Battle Trunk, and I think that this is probably the way to go if you want to make this fight as easy as possible. This ship really seems to power through this fight, but I always recommend still just do a call for help, bring some friends, and they just make things go faster, quicker, easier, right? Instead of trying to do it yourself. Especially with one of these kind of fights that's a little more rare, people I think tend to jump in and help you out a little more often, or when just the rewards are better, right? Yeah. So you can see if we miss the critical spots, we get the immune message, right? So and then he does do these teleporty moves where he's going to be immune for portions of that as well. And then he does spawn a whole bunch of dummy boats as well occasionally. And this is kind of where it's at as far as drops go, right? So when killing these guys is gonna, drop a lot of that stuff, like the, extra mysterious chests and precision drilling bits and all sorts of random goodies. So that's why this is kind of a good one to just go in and farm as well. There are some unique cosmetic drops as well that I like. The one in particular, there's one for sails colors that glows bright red at nighttime. I really like those. I think I'm actually using it on this the Battle Trunk right now, but it doesn't do it justice because you need to have certain patterns, and then my emblem shows up white. But yeah, it's really cool for especially on some of the other ships to have the the glowing red, right? So it's one of the nicer, cooler, unique sail colorings that you can get without paying real money, right? You gotta do this boss fight. Yeah, you can see so there's some more critical spots that spawn on these guys. Yeah, just tons of precision drilling bits. I think that ironwood was probably just floating there because we were close to the shore. But yeah, go after the highly recommend going after the ads that spawn, right? These extra dummy ships, just because they're gonna increase all the stuff that drops in the water for you to pick up. And tons of these old treasure maps, right? The blue rarity treasure maps to the point where it's gonna fill up your cargo hold. It'll only carry 4 of those. So if you need to do treasure maps for some reason, right, and you don't care about, the blue ones aren't that great. I'm to the point where I delete those and don't do them. just because it's kind of annoying. But like if you need to do like I think some of the Smugglers Pass like missions and stuff, like if you're still working your way through that, I think there's some missions in there for doing so many treasure maps and stuff sometimes. So you know, if you needed that, this is a good way to get a ton of treasure maps really quickly. But like I said, like it's the blue rarity, and it's not, to me, it's not really worth doing those. And then, yeah, for my build, I'll go through it, but I am using the like long guns on the sides and the back. That's because it's you know, there's a little bit more importance of getting those hitting those critical spots, right? So the long guns are a little bit better at getting those precision hits. And then I'm using the new Phoenix Talons, right? So if you're watching this during Season 3, that's a newer weapon that you can get from playing through some of the story stuff for Season 3. I'm using those in the front, so those are the kind of the shotgun style, fire damaging, you know, whatever. But yeah, so the mission spawns typically up here towards the top right, and then you're going to want to turn it in down in the oubliette to the mysterious rogue down here. So once you beat the boss, like the main guy, you'll get a ring or something that you have to turn in. And so you go over to her and turn that in, and then I'll show you to what you know, what other stuff she has for like these drops in here. But yeah, so it's the Anguish from the Abyss, and you'll get some pieces of aid, it looks like, as well. And then the other mission in here too, the what was that called? That's the regular, you know, Ghost Hunt Oceans Apart, right? So there's another ghost ship. So yeah, you can buy, you know, if you're topped off on Ethereal Ashes, right, you can buy mysterious chests. And then the Vengeful Essence, I think you can get some Vengeful Essence from her, or from that ghost ship, but I think that's more likely to drop from the regular ghost ship variant. But then yeah, there's some character cosmetics in here, as well as 2 blueprints for Ethereal Ashes. So Cursed Banner is an you know, a furniture piece for higher threat generation, higher aux weapon damage, and more hull health. And then the Blue Spectre, you know, you can get the blueprint here and then craft as many as you want. It's pretty good for a flamethrower, right? Like that's probably one of my favorites when it comes to the flamethrowers. But you know, it does drop organically, either from mysterious chest or just from fighting the boss. So that's why I hadn't bought the blueprint yet, but I might get it just to have it, because I've got the, you know, if doing this fight, I've get plenty of these Ethereal Ashes now. So I'll just buy one more of the mysterious chest just to show you the kind of stuff that can drop from these. But you can see my inventory hold here, like all the stuff I had got previously. But so we got 8 black snuff from that one, right? So it's a good way to get helm materials and things like that. And then yes, so here's the build. I'm using the battle junk, mostly just because it just works good, right? Like I feel like this is kind of Season 3's best ship, you know, like and partially this build as well. But you get the, you know, automatically triggering the taunted effect when enemies are close to you and you get hits, and then more brace strength, 150%, and brace strength recovery by 25%. This endure, you get, I think this comes from once you get it upgraded fully out to level 6, 2% less damage per attack each time incoming damage is braced. And then it also inflicts his taunt charges when enemies are close and you brace, right? So I'll scroll down here too. You can see the, you know, Phoenix Talons, Divine Thunder. That's the, you know, the weapons that we're using. Ouroboros for the armor piece. I'll go through these in more detail here. And then that's the furniture loadout that I have if you want like sort of a high level view, but we'll go into it too. So yeah, Phoenix Talons in the front. You do get 2 gun ports below deck on the front of the battle junk, right? So you'll get 4 guns in the front when you equip Phoenix Talons. And you can see their perks there. Landing more 18 hits gives you 1800 burning damage instantly. And this effect deals 200% more damage when the target is already ablaze. So we build into the burning a little bit here as well. And then Divine Thunder, these are the new electric long guns that you would get from the Smuggler's Pass for this season, right? If it's no longer Season 3, they're going to come from like the cycling stock from like the black market, or like William Blackwood, right? Like, you know, you'll have to shop around, or potentially boss drops, right? And then Phoenix Talons came from the story mission, so that's going to be the same thing, right, if it's post Season 3. Then I'm using the Warhammer for my auxiliary weapon, just because this is, you know, kind of my second thing that can do some burning damage, right? Because we have a little bit of burning damage built into the furniture stuff as well. You could also use Crouching Tiger, because this also creates taunt and you get a little bit more range there. Infernal Maw would be a good choice, right? Like, you could mix it up with the Ox Weapon, but I like the Warhammer because it's a little bit shorter range, and you're typically trying to fight people up close with the Battle Junk anyway. And then I'm using Ouroboros for the armor piece just because I'm really heavily enjoying the restoration of severe damage, right? So that's like the kind of my only way to get rid of severe damage if I don't have a healer around me. But yeah, I think armor piece you could pick pretty much you know, any of the higher level ones there, whatever suits your fancy, right? For major furniture piece, I'm using this Cannonball Carving Station. It gives you extra taunt charges for hitting weak points, increases taunt duration by 15%, and increases reload time of piercing weapons by 5%, right? So the long guns have piercing on them, so you're getting that extra reload from that. Charge Stores gives us, after triggering the Stormstruck status effect, increase damage from the next attack by 50%. That's pretty big. Increase the charge rate of the Ablaze effect on targets already affected by Stormstruck, right? So that's kind of why I'm building into the Phoenix Talons and the Warhammer, which trigger fire. And then the beam supports for extra hull health, and then this Amber Coating Station for increased generation of Stormstruck. Companion Screens is a little bit more defensive, right? Reduced area effect damage and reduced burning, and increases hull health. Same with Companion Spirits Locker, right? Increases Braith Strength and increases armor rating. We're kind of going for those two bottom perks there on this build, right? So it's, since a lot of things are percentage based, if you think about having, like, you know, a tank that has a lot of armor and health, you know, adding furniture pieces that do percent more of armor or hull health, right? Like, gives you that much more since it's percentage based versus a ship that might not have a lot of armor to start with and won't get as much out of it, even though you might want to do that just to help mitigate having, you know, a weaker ship. But we'll show a couple of the, like, drops here at the end. I think we pick up the chest here, and then it's, you know, there's even, yeah, we can't, there's more treasure maps floating in the water than I can carry, right? So like I said, I've just been deleting those blue treasure maps. So unless you really enjoy doing the treasure hunts, right? I usually only do the, like, purple and orange ones when I find them, right? You can see the stuff that we're getting from these chests. We got several mysterious chests in here as well, so we'll open those. And it looks like we got 1 Vengeful Essence and 10 Ethereal Ashes that dropped organically. Some silver chests, right? Like, so it's a decent haul every time. Yeah, Ethereal Ashes, so yeah, we'll take those. And then I think my, like, second fight that I recorded, right, we'll finish them off here again and see what else drops. But yeah, fun, unique fight. Highly recommend doing it while it's here, just because there's some cool, you know, unique cosmetics that drop. Oh, we got 1,000 pieces of 8 there. That's pretty nice. And then, yeah, the reason it's not letting me pick up the rest of the chest is because there's another blue blue map in there, right? So I'll tab over to cargo here. We'll open everything up. So yeah, so the second time I fought him, I was there for the whole fight, and so I ended up with 9 of these mysterious chests. I think the one that drops from killing him is slightly different, so that's why it's split those apart. But honestly, it seemed like I was getting similar stuff from them all, right? So a little bit more Vengeful Essence this time, and Ethereal, or 1 more Vengeful Essence this time, and then a few more Ethereal Ashes, and then another 4 blue treasure maps, right? So yeah, like, getting some decent materials from those, but nothing crazy great. But we did get, you know, a good chunk of pieces of 8 that has the chance to drop those unique cosmetics we were talking about. Yeah, so definitely worth doing while he is here. It's probably going to disappear after this week, and then, you know, probably come back at some point either later in the season or next season, whatever, you know. So that's kind of why I wanted to call this one out. I think, you know, like, this week there wasn't any, like, new, you know, in comparison to last week. I didn't see anything new in, like, the black market or at William Blackwood for this week. So, you know, if you've been paying attention to my videos, right, we kind of went through those last week as well. But I'm always like, you know, if you can't find like an item that's in my build, right, like go through the codex and look through it there. And then, you know, if it's one of those items that's like, you know, a previous like seasonal item, you'll probably have to get it from like either boss drops, right, fighting some of the harder level bosses, or you'll have to check, you know, William Blackwood's weekly cycling stock and or the black market's weekly cycling stock. Some of the things too, there's, you know, there's newer blueprints at Admiral Rama and Skurlock as well that you buy for like helm products too, so I use some of those furniture pieces as well. But like I said, always check the codex if you're missing something that you need. But that's going to be our Skull and Bones video for the day, guys, and that's the cool ghost ship hunt or fight that you know, comes around every so often, right? So make sure you take care of this guy and get the rewards for it if that's what you're into, and we will see you next time.